Recording is started.
Good. All right, everybody, welcome for our evening edition here, 10:30 at night. All the night owls, welcome. I tell you, I think me and my brothers, Rich and Gary, we got to get a life. You know, we got Paul McCartney in town tonight, down at Tampa. Got the the World Series. I mean, we got the All-Star Home Run Derby going on right now. 2 Yankees in there, I might add.
Right.
But anyway, we are here because we love it. We love talking about technology, and we got some really good information here for you on creating a Xamarin Forms project with an Azure Portal mobile app tonight. I think we got 4 people on here. I can see Mark, Butterfly, Sunny, and a dial-in might be for one of those, or just somebody just listening to the audio. Just curious if any of you got to see Dev Days. If you did, go ahead and type it in whether you did or did not. This last month, we had a 3-session day that day, and we are going to do a little bit of that here tonight with the Quickstart that I'm going to demo from Azure. So let's go ahead and continue on. We're going to talk about the Fustino brothers here. We build apps for the Powerful Stars. We got a little bit of an introduction. Also, if you have any audio issues, here's the phone number to call in, the 701-801-12. Okay, Mark, you did not, and 1220. And then this is our number for the meeting there, 679-256-129. Check the chat window for messages and any questions to chat away. And if you are not talking, please mute your mic. And welcome. This is a combination of In Business Links, my brother Gary's business, and the Fustino brothers. And we have used Eventbrite and MailChimp and Start Meeting and Facebook and got all the pages out there and everything for those, so look us up. So let's do a little bit of an introduction here between myself, Russ Fustino up on the top there, Gary in the middle, Rich there on the bottom. I'm Microsoft MVP as well as publisher of several Windows apps and phone apps. I run the .NET user group in Tampa, co-run it, and also very prominent in the developer industry along with a lot of community involvement. So go ahead, and Gary, go ahead, take it away.
Okay, I'm the graphic designer, artist of the group. I do the artwork for the apps, the designs, the templates, the icons, and all kinds of things. You name it, we do it. Resize all the photos and prepare the artwork and template for the apps. Run monthly social media webinars as well. I'm a chamber ambassador in the St. Pete area, and was nominated for the Good Burger Award in St. Pete as well. So I'm quite proud of that. That means I'm basically a good citizen of the city. And I also mentioned I do the In Business Links Network, and I'm also locally in the Clearwater area part of the Bluffs Business Association, where I'm also the e-services director. So we'll move on to Richard.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah, Rich Fustino here. We've been doing these webinars for about over a year now, and this is really exciting. I put together some of the music stuff that we're working on. I work with the app in far as the videos and making sure we have all the right videos in our apps and stuff. And I come up with some pretty cool app ideas. And I'm proud to say that this is going to be my 11th year for the Week of Rock. What that is I put together some 20 students from Matt's Music, and I put on a rock show in 1 week's time. And we've been doing this for 11 years now, and I'm really excited to be coming up in August 4th for the show, and it starts on July 31st. And I've had some great students. I've taught Anita Franco, James Perkowski, Mary Alice Demler, and some fine students for the last 52 years at Matt's Music. And we now are up to 503 songs, Russ and Gary.
How about that?
Wow.
So I have to make a change on their composing. 503 as of last night.
That's great.
And that's about it. And enjoying this much. Yeah.
Nice. All right, Rich. That's great. I'll be there on August 4th for your rock show.
All right, yeah, that'd be great.
That's going to be great. We also are the makers of the endorsed Jethro Tull app. We have our copyright on that and everything. So some cool stuff there. We'll be looking to do a major V2 on that app soon to all of your stores. And I think what we're going to do here is save our intros to the end for everybody to chit-chat, I guess, and then we'll go ahead and get going here right now. So we're going to talk about here is the Azure Mobile App Quickstart. We've got going to add a database, modify the service app, add some data transformation objects, all sorts of cool stuff here today, but really the crux of it is going to be the Mobile App Quickstart, and we're going to take a look at that. So why mobile apps to begin with? Azure mobile apps are extremely powerful. They have really flexible back end. You can do it in either Node.js or ASP.NET. You get a cross-platform client SDK in Android, iOS, and Windows using Xamarin Forms, and it's all open source, C#, the back end, and the SDK client SDKs are on GitHub. I started really diving into mobile Azure Mobile about 3 months ago, really deep, and I was really pleasantly surprised that it does exactly what I wanted to do, which is store all the data up in the cloud for my application, and I can manage that all through Azure and integrate my apps very, very easily with that data, as well as incorporate things like offline caching and synchronization when your apps are off, because that's always an important thing to consider. So first thing we're going to talk about here today is the Quick Start that Azure has. If anybody has used the Azure Quick Start, just go ahead and put a note in the message there that you've used it, and otherwise I assume this is fairly new to most of the people on board here. And basically what we see here is the real easy way to go ahead and get started creating a Xamarin Forms app, which you can see right here on the chart. You can see the Xamarin Forms is one of the options. Several other options. Okay, I've used it for a test app. That's good, Sonny. All right. And then also this Quick Start then is basically 3 steps to it. You got to create a database that you're going to use for your application. Create the table API, which is going to serve up that data, and then going to be consumed by, guess who? Your Xamarin Forms application or your client application. And it's a very nice, very simple 3-step process. So when I configure your client for the 2 choices, you've got Visual Studio 2015, but it will upgrade to 2017 when you download that project. So that's creating a new app, and then the other choice then is to create an existing app and modify it. And if you choose that route, then these are the types of code snippets you're going to be looking at to use in your application to hook up a mobile service client. You'd be using the new mobile service client object, and you can see the URL there that you're going to be wiring up to. And then right below it, you have the to-do item list. This is a sample class in the project that's being used. And then down below, you would use the client library to start working with the to-do item item. So you want to do an initialization on the current platform, then go ahead and read in that item, and then go ahead and do like an insert, for example, and insert some data there. So what we're talking about here architecturally is what you're seeing on the slide here right now. Basically, the Azure App Services works great for mobile apps, providing them with access to data, authentication, and notifications. And what we see here is the client SDK is going to be used to consume on the left side there in the actual Xamarin Forms applications, and on the right, it's through a REST service that data gets exposed. And then you can also see where you have your data. It could be SQL, it could be from tables, it could be from Mongo or blobs, and then also authentication through any one of the many different possible sources, including Active Directory, Google, Twitter, Facebook, and Microsoft authentication. Then also got notification capabilities and to talk to the various hubs, the IoT hubs or the event hubs that really facilitate the broadcasting of a lot of messages very, very quickly and very easily to either targeted mobile devices or mass mobile devices. So those are a lot of big benefits to doing it. So when you're doing this, the first thing you're going to do is set up a database. And you can see here you're going to hit the Add button. And then in the middle here, you're going to configure your settings, create a new database. And then we got target server we're going to use here. We're going to give it the password and user ID. And that'll take care of the server that your database is running on. And once that completes, you'll get a little green check mark. And then down below, you've got the ABI table, and the last step. So I'm going to break out here for a second and do this first step because it takes a little bit to run. So let me go ahead and bring up the portal. And this is the portal.azure.com. You can get a free pass to this very easily. Just go out to the Azure site. You can see get started for free. That would be at azure.microsoft.com. And let's go ahead and take a look here. We're going to do a new application is what we'll start with here. And we're going to go under the web and mobile, and we'll go ahead and select mobile app. And let's go ahead and call this the FBI Apps 2. And let's go ahead and create a resource group. And then also the planned location. We're going to go ahead and click on the one in our East that set up prior to this. And let's go ahead and pin that to the dashboard. So we'll go ahead and create this. And then once this gets created, then the blade will open up, and you'll see that there is a quick start on there. And in the quick start section of the blade, you'll have a choice of where you want to, what kind of a mobile app you want to create. So here it comes up, and you can see right here, here is our URL for our website, FBI Apps 2, AzureWebsites.net. Let's go ahead and just copy that. We'll need that a little while. The next thing we'll do is we'll come down to the Quick Start section here. And then the Quick Start, then you go ahead and see, okay, we can create a mobile app for Xamarin iOS, Xamarin iOS Swift, Objective-C, Android, Windows C#, 8.1, Android, iOS, Forms, and Cordova. We're going to go ahead and do Xamarin Forms. So it says you'll need to create a database in order to complete this quick start. Click here to create one. So let's go ahead and start up creation. Let's go ahead and add in our SQL database. Then we've got to go ahead and configure our required settings. Let's create a new database. All right, so let's go ahead and enter the name for this database as our FBI App 2. As soon as it catches up with me. There we go. All right. Oh, not that one. I'll do FBI Apps 2, and we'll go DB. All right. Target our server. So the server now is going to be a logical server that will basically house that particular database that we're going to create. So let's just create a demo user for this and a couple of passwords that go along with that. And we're going to go ahead and put this over in our East Coast. East right here. Oh, I guess I fat fingered that second password.
We have somebody new that
maybe it was
us.
the first one. What's that?
We have somebody new that joined us. I just wanted to remind everybody that your mics are muted, but when you want to ask a question, just indicate so in the chat window, then we'll unmute your mic. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Gary. So here's our DTU units for our database. We're going to run at, I think it's about $15 a month, and you get about 100 meg to 250 gigs. So that's pretty good for that. And if you wanted to raise your horsepower, you can do that, but then it's going to cost you more money over there, 75, so forth. So we'll just go with our basic DTU, which is your data transformation unit, combining IOs and usage and all that kind of stuff. So this is all set. So our database now is created, and let's take a look at our connection string. This allows you to call it whatever you want. We'll just stick with the default, and we'll hit OK here, and now it's going to go ahead and deploy this. Now this is going to take a few minutes to deploy. So while this is deployed, we are going to come back to the deck, continue on here and talk about the back end, which is what we're going to be doing next, right? So we're going to implement the back end as a service, and you can do this either through Node.js or in C#. We'll be demoing C# here in this application. So the C# gives you the fully typed programming model in .NET with a robust and powerful framework. And so the Quickstart just has got that drop down in there to choose that, and we'll actually do that in the next step. And then we got the .NET platforms that are all supported. You can see them all here, and then as well as a Quickstart service project. And what gets generated here, it creates a .NET starter app that we're going to go ahead and download, and includes a couple of controllers as well as defines your DTO object. So when this gets done completing, we're going to show you the code there in that second step, and you'll see that basically the function here of this is going to be raise that data up that's in our database. So once we get into the code and the client end, this is the line you will need to access that particular service or site that we just created, which was FBI app2.azurewebsites.net is what it will say. You'll go ahead and do your initialization in your code, and this would be also the code you would use to start your synchronization process with offline data. And what it will do here, by default, it'll work with SQLite. So you can create your syncstore.db file that you see there, and that will go ahead and create the area for your offline usage for your content. And then you would do your initialize on the sync content, and then go ahead and do a get sync on the to-do item to go ahead and populate that information. So anytime you do an update, then the standard procedure is going to be do a push and then a pull. So here you can see the push async up on top. And then we're going to do a query and then do a poll to pull back the items from that query. So the push does the synchronization from locally up to the server, then the poll will grab that down and do it. Now, the push async is actually done by default. So you really don't, all you need to do is put pull async in your code. The push async is just there for clarity. It would automatically do a push first and then a pull. And then you can see what you could do is you can start doing actions on those items and on those database items, like you see a to-do item insert. So that's going to insert a record into the database right there. And then you've got the query of the local table. You can use code like this to actually do the return on the await for to-do table where the item is going to be, say the completion flag is set to false, and then go ahead and enumerate that, and then that will return back that data set with that filter. So a little bit of link there, and then also on the authentication front, you have several pre-built authentication providers, including Facebook, Twitter, Google, Microsoft, Azure AD, and really anything OAuth 2. And it gets better. Oh, wait, there's more. You can do push notifications, right, with the notification hub. And I am just floored nowadays. You can send millions of messages with just a few lines of code. It's mind-blowing every time I think about it. Isn't that, brothers? Isn't that something?
Fantastic. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And there's the request back. So a lot of times you might need push notifications with your app, like, for example, I know like the weather app now that does a lot of push notifications, and I tell you, that darn thing's pretty accurate. You know, it says it's going to rain in 5 minutes here in Florida, and once you know it, you wait 5 minutes and it rains, and it's really accurate. So I really like that quite a bit, and so a lot of great uses for notifications. Then you got your file sync. You can sync files with the Azure storage, online and offline, just like table storage. Same thing that we've been talking about. So you upload the file, you go ahead and generate your SAS token, and then go ahead and do your synchronization. There is a shopping demo app that was shown on the Xamarin Dev Day, and you can get it at this GitHub/Microsoft. It's a Xamarin Azure _shopping demo app. And I probably can paste that into the let me paste that into the window there.
Yeah,
so you guys want to get that.
All these PowerPoint slides will be available.
Yeah.
We'll have the address at the end.
All right, let's see here. Start chatting. Okay. All right, so I just put that GitHub link in there if you guys want to download that.
Okay, I'm going to unmute Sonny. Sonny's got a question.
Hey,
All
quick
right.
question. Sorry to
Sure.
interrupt.
Yeah, no problem.
Have you been able to get that shopping demo app to actually run on an emulator? Because I tried doing this at home, and I've had all kinds of strange NuGet package errors and things like that. So I'm just wondering if you've been successful in doing that.
You know, I can't remember if I did that when I did the lab that came with that afternoon, but I think that was different than the shopping demo app, if I remember correct. So
Okay.
I have not tried that. Has anybody else here on the group here tried it? But I could. I'll try that, Sonny, again when we get off here and see if I have any better luck with that.
Yeah, maybe I can message you in maybe like a week or two and see if you had some success, because I've been trying to get that thing to run.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, so again, that demo app's got a lot of code in it for offline, online synchronization, push notifications, authentication, and it's pretty cool. So mobile plus server, what we're talking about then is the mobile code being in C#, and you got the back end here with shared C and the client server. And you've got all the different UIs, the Android, iOS, Windows up on top. So this is one NuGet package you might need to get that to work. Might be the system component model.annotations. I don't know if that is in there or not. But I know that if I go to do any markup and to get DTOs, you need to have that particular NuGet package, system.componentmodel.annotations. So we'll take a look at that in the code that we get. And then there are a lot of testing tools. You can use Postman, PAW, REST client with Foxes, Fiddler, or the Windows Network Analyzer. All you need to make sure is you have in the HTTP header the zoomy-api.version 2.0.0. That must be included in there, and you can actually see the results as you get back from doing a query there up on top with the REST service URL. Or you can also use SQL Server management authentication, right, with SQL Server. So let's go ahead and get back to our portal and see how that thing is progressing. It looks like it finished up. Go ahead and bring it back down over here. All right, so that's good. So that finished up there. So let's go ahead and download our C#. Let's save it. Out to here. All right, save it right there. And then what we're going to do is we are going to, before we proceed to the third step, and you got to be very patient on these. You really have to do these in order and not rush the next step. You got to complete this step, and then we're going to extract everything here, and I'm going to show you what I mean. After this extract, I'm going to load it up into Visual Studio. Then we are going to do a restore NuGet packages on this, and do a build, and then we'll publish it to that new app service that we created in the portal. So when this comes up, let's go ahead and do that. We'll do a right mouse click over here. Let's do a restore NuGet packages. Let's go ahead and do a rebuild. Okay, and what we're going to do here is just take a peek here at our config table. So you can see there it's got everything filled out with the correct wiring up for our service and database there that we're going to access. And then we're just going to go ahead and publish this to our service now that we've created. So let's do that. We'll right mouse click, we'll say publish. And on the publish tab, what we're going to do then is say select existing. We'll publish to the one that we just created there in the resource group 2. You got deployment slots and all that kind of stuff available here, which is really cool. So we'll hit OK there. And now it's publishing it up to our FBI Apps 2 Azure Websites.net. And while that's running, let's see what else we got left here. Oh, there it comes right there. So it published it. Right there is the URL. And we should see that little happy background blue. There it is. Mobile app is up and running, and the crowd goes crazy.
That's fabulous.
All right, so that's step 2 now, right? So we got the data, we got some service up there. You can see the data. You got the controllers in here. You've got the query table right here for the to-do items. The to-do items is stored in the application in our data objects here. So you can see there it's just a text field, and there's a Boolean field. You've got a model down here that gets put in, so you can see all the different attributes that are in there. And then also the to-do item controller itself, which has many different methods. You got to delete to item string. You got to get all. You got to get to-do item with passing in a string ID as a parameter. The initialize, you got to patch to-do item, so you're going to bring in both the items to do an update. So these are all gutted out for you in this code, and we are now. This is our URL right here that we're going to need in the final step. So the final step here then is to go ahead and download the new app right here, the Xamarin Forms app. So we'll go ahead and download that. And let's go ahead and get this thing opened up. So this is the Xamarin Forms application now. Extract all. Let me shorten this path down. Let's try that. Will that give me an error, or will it create it? Let's see. It's creating it. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and bring this up. Visual Studio 2017. All right. Now, let's see. I did start this earlier with this one, and it didn't take. Okay, let's say OK to this.
Are you showing us an earlier version?
This is the, yeah, I was trying to bring that up.
Okay.
I was seeing if this will load up properly. I've been having a few glitches here. Looks like it's getting a little better luck here. Yes, we are. Okay, good, good. Let's see. I'll pick up my Mac Mini, connect to that. And log in there. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at this code and run this. And if we're going to take a look at the constants this thing created, first and foremost, and then that should be the URL for our web service, right, that we have. So let's go ahead and do this. There we go. Looks like we got that connection done okay. I'm going to go ahead and make UWP the current project. Let's go ahead and do a restore NuGet packages. We'll do a build. All right, looks like we're all set for UWP there. And that got finished. So let's do the build on the portable class library. And then we're going to bring up the Windows version right here and do a build on it, and then we'll go ahead and run it, see what we get here. All right, do another rebuild there. Let me just show you the so there is our URL I was talking about, FBI Apps Azure websites, and we're going to use this as in the application URL. So let's find that guy. So if you're ever trying to, if I like this find all feature here on the search, it gives you all the lines where that's used. So this is the one where we're creating it, and then in the to-do item manager list, this is where we're going to go ahead and pull that constant in and create our mobile service client right here. And here we're creating our offline database store. I mean, all this code is generated for you automatically in the client application. So let's go ahead and run this. And we should see our Xamarin Forms app. This is my new file new. It really is. I wasn't joking about that with the literature that we used on publicizing this. When I go to do an application for Xamarin Forms, nowadays you pretty much need data in it, no matter what kind of app it is. And why not use Azure to store that data, and you get all these side benefits of being able to do notifications real easy, offline synchronization real easy. It's only about a half a dozen lines of code to incorporate to get the offline synchronization to work. And let's go ahead and there it is. Let me bring that into view. You can see it right here. See that? Isn't that cool? So here's our application. It just downloaded the first and second items that have populated up in our data store. You can add a third one in here. All right, that's going to go ahead and add that in. So now I've got a third item and a blank one, which I think I'll delete. I'll mark it as complete. How's that? There, no doesn't appear. All right, so now that is pretty good. And then I'm going to close this up here. And let's take that URL that we had in the service, actually in the database, and let's go ahead and query that. And so let's go back out to the portal. And let's see what we got here. All right. All right, there we go.
Looking good here so far. We got about 10 minutes.
Yeah, we're doing great. So I'm going to bring up the database here. And this is our connection string. We're going to go ahead and get this off of our database. And here is our, actually all we need is the URL, this guy right here, the server name. So I'm going to copy that off. I'm also going to create a firewall so I can access this. I'm going to create this and access through this through SQL Server Data Management Tools. So I'll go ahead and save off that firewall setting. That rule has been updated. So now if I go ahead and bring up the database app, SQL Server Management Studio.
Hey Russ, I have one question.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit confused about one thing. In your resource group, I didn't see your web app, the web app that you showed earlier. Is that not published to that same resource group?
We'll take a look at that. I can't remember offhand. We'll take a look at it though. I may have accidentally put in the other one by mistake, but we'll check it. Demo. Yeah. And that's the user ID that we created for that database. So let's go ahead and connect there. And now you see, Rich and Gary, when we create our databases for Jethro et al., we can put them right up here and get to them with tools like this.
I see.
And then you can see all the tables expanding, and there's the to-do items table right there that we just created. Let's go ahead and do a select top 100 rows. Now it's going to bring back, should be 3 or 4 records in there now that we did. So here they are right here. Second item, first item, the one ahead is a blank, and the third item, and that one there is marked as complete. So that's all the data that we had. So that gives you a real nice kind of like a full view, you know, from top to bottom. And in terms of, you know, the code that this is doing is pretty straightforward with the this mobile service sync table. That's the one that uses the SQL data as the store. So I could actually go and, you know, make this thing go offline. Like I can go into the app constants here and maybe change this to maybe, let's say, ZZZ, like it's fallen asleep. And let's run this now. So now it's not going to be communicating, right, with that server. But it's going to store the updates locally. And this happens a lot, right? You use a phone, you don't have connection, you want to be able to use the app locally. You don't want it to say, hey, you need an internet connection, you know, try later. That's lame. You want to be able to just use it. And so you'll be able to do, we'll put another entry here in for, let's call this one entry 5, 5th.
All right, all the mics are open for questioning, if we have them at this point.
Just a second, Gary, just a second. I'll add this in. All right, and it looks like it didn't like that. So we'll end with that, and we will go to questions there. And I'm not quite sure why that did that, but I think you get the idea. And let me wrap up here with a few slides, and then we'll do the open mic.
I'm going to just mute one of our attendees. Got the background music, but if he wants a question, you can ask him. Okay.
I muted it. All right. Here we go. So in summary, what we saw here was the Azure mobile app Quickstart. We added the database and modified the server. You can modify the service app to add the DTOs and the endpoints and the controllers in there. We took a look at a few of those, and also we seeded some data we saw there and put some data up there to go ahead and verify. So portal.azure.com is where you go, and we are definitely open for questions. Let's go ahead and open up the mics, and anybody want to go first?
Yeah.
You can introduce yourself, and then let us know what's on your mind.
Put up that introduction slide there for them. Yeah.
All right, and then also you can probably stop the recording, Gary.
I'm going to stop the recording.